It's match day on BBC Radio Nottingham, the home of live Nottinghamshire sport on your Boxing Day 2019. We are on the way here, Notts kicking from right to left in front of us in black and white stripes to the bright orange shirts of Maidenhead United. Maidenhead, who are a decent away team, struggling currently 16th in the table and 5 points off the relegation zone, but given the very nature of football at this level and the nature of this division, they're only 9 points off the playoffs. 12 points separating the nearer top teams of the National League and the bottom four. But this Maidenhead team have won only 2 games in the league from their last 9. That being said, they are much better away from home than they are at home. They have won 8 games away from home this season and only 2 in front of their home supporters, where we will travel to on New Year's Day. They play at York Road, a little stadium. It's only got around 4,000 capacity and only 500 have got seats. Hopefully Stel will be in a couple of those seats, because otherwise it's a long afternoon.
It certainly will be, yeah, but not just starting off in possession, getting their first feel of the ball really in this opening start. I'm just looking at how Maidenhead are lining up, because there was a little bit of conjecture. They've made changes.
Certainly was.
It looks like in the early stages, Enzio Baldwin is going to be man-marked by the number 15, Seth Tomasi. He's absolutely following him everywhere in the opening minutes of this game, and in fact,
he kicked him. Yeah,
kicks him. Wins a free kick, and does Enzio early on, but he's absolutely made a point. He's sort of lining up as a right back, but he's going to follow Enzio, and he's not been more than a couple of yards away from him in the opening stages.
Well, Enzio's going to dance past him now and try to get to the byline, which he does with relative ease, and win a corner, very much carrying on from exactly what he was doing in the second half, which is, I think, probably the finest Enzio Baldwin that we've seen so far in a black and white shirt.
Yeah, absolutely, and if he beats Tomasi, he can mark him as tight as he wants, because he's just stepped past him there with ease, got to the byline, Enzio, and a deflection on the cross puts it out for a first corner to Notts from their attacking left-hand side.
And Enzio's going to take the corner. No Regan Booty in the team, no Sean Shields, both of them injured. So Enzio takes it, goes short to Doyle, left-footed, outswinging corner, flick towards goal, pinballs around. There were a few shouts for handball against one of the Maidenhead players on the edge of their own 6-yard box, but the referee's not interested, and the ball is back on the halfway line now with Dion Kelly-Evans, and with 2.5 minutes on the clock, Notts have started well.
Yeah, dangerous from the corner, a little short one to Michael Doyle. Is out, swinged with his left foot, got a glancing header at the near post, and it was going towards the far post, but too many bodies in the way, it got blocked. There were half appeals for a handball and a penalty, but nothing doing from the referee, and it's back with Notts in their own half.
Notts unbeaten in the last 3 games with 2 wins and a draw, albeit one of those was in the FA Trophy, where Notts and Chesterfield both heavily changed. It's now with Lacey, who we heard for on BBC Radio Nottingham prior to kick-off. He finds McCrory on the left wing, who gives it back to Doyle. First time ball over the top. Dennis is onside, into the area. First time shot as well. Never really catches it properly. From an angle, an acute angle at that, to the left-hand side of the goal as we look at it, and he spooned his shot wide. Yeah,
lovely ball again from Michael Doyle. A couple of early involvement in the play. Lovely little ball down the channel, in that inside left channel. Christian Dennis had made the run, got the wrong side of the Maidenhead defence, and his final effort just lacked a little bit of conviction, really. It was goal side. He could have maybe had a touch, settled it down. He had Kyle Wootton in the middle, but opted to pull the trigger first time. Never going to get it on target, a couple of yards wide of that near post, but again, good play by Notts.
It should be pointed out, I think, as well, Michael Doyle, distribution-wise, probably had one of his better games in a black and white shirt. Certainly, well, actually, I was going to say certainly in the second half, but in the first half as well, he was one of Notts' better performers.
Yeah, certainly was, and kept the ball, and that's exactly what you need Michael Doyle to be doing. On the ball, dictating the pace of the game, dictating the tempo of Notts passing, because that is an all-important thing. With the way Notts set up to play, to pass the ball, it's the tempo of that passing and the quality of it, and he's a vital cog of that.
Comley's going to shoot from around 40 yards, and I think it's nicked off of the heels of Mitchell Rose on the way through. Yes, it has, and so Maidenhead have got their first corner out of the game from, I think, probably one of the more speculative efforts that you're likely to ever see. I said 40 yards, it might have been 45.
I was going to say closer to 50. He was about 2 or 3 yards beyond the centre circle. I'm not quite sure whether that was intended as a shot or a firm drilled through ball, but either way, it took a nick off Mitch Rose and drifts out for a corner. from Maidenhead's attacking left-hand side.
5 minutes on the clock. Notts being tested defensively for the first time, and Sam Slocum comes for it and claims the ball with ease into his gloves, and now throws it out to the left-hand side where Doyle provides the outlet. First time ball as well, up over the top looking for Wootton, just a touch too high for his 6'3" frame, and it's cleared away by the Bromley defenders. Onto the right wing where the centre half Joe Alul is. Meanwhile, through ball catches Sam Slocum well out of his goal, and Kelly was thinking about trying to chip him for a moment. He timed his run perfectly, now rolls it back to the edge of the area. Rose brings his man down just on the edge of that 18-yard box. Poor tackle from Mitchell Rose, tried to get the ball and missed it by a country mile. Jake Cassidy, the former Notts man, is the man who's down, and it'll be a free kick for the visitors from a dangerous position.
Yeah, really dangerous position. Just, what, half a yard it's going to be outside the penalty area. Mitch Rose going to ground far too early on this slippy surface. I was never going to get the ball, and it's given Maidenhead a free kick in a really dangerous position. But just prior to that, Josh Kelly being put through with a superb through ball. And to be fair, Sam Slocum came out of his area and did really well.
Yeah.
He didn't give it up. He didn't touch the ball, didn't touch the man, but he just shepherded him away from goal and didn't allow Kelly to get turned for a second or so. The Notts goal was completely empty. He steered Kelly away from goal, allowed Notts defenders to get back. And it was from the second phase of that play that Mitch Rose has committed this foul just outside the penalty area. This will be a really dangerous moment.
Yeah, really dangerous moment. These are the sort of moments that a game can completely turn on. It can switch the narrative up completely. Comley over the ball with the right foot, tries to dink it in the far corner, gets it all wrong, all kinds of wrong, and it was going wide from the moment it touched his boot, maybe even before.
Well, that's an incredibly soft taking of a free kick there. It was less than a step outside the penalty area, probably 5 yards to the right of centre, but perfectly within shooting range. And he's just stepped up, tried to flick it over the wall on the goalkeeper's side and dragged it about 5 yards wide. Never going to trouble Sam Slocum, even if it was on target. That didn't have the pace, didn't have the dip on it. And Notts have just got away with that there. Just a scary moment for them after a decent start.
That was like one of my free kicks on FIFA. Not good. Lacey bundled into the back of, but fairly, says the referee, and the ball goes out for a Notts throw-in. Cassidy, the bearded Cassidy nowadays, not happy with the linesman who says it should have come off of Lacey last, and I think he's probably right, and it'll be a throw-in for Notts with 7.5 on the clock, over with the halfway line. Hull against Forest this afternoon on all frequencies on BBC Radio Nottingham, and Mansfield against Port Vale will cross the field mill shortly to find out how they're getting on. Meanwhile here, a rather speculative and I dare say naive effort from Sam Osborne, who had far better options than to put his head down and shoot from range with a lot of players around him, and he's dragged his shot a long way wide. 8 gone, 0-0.
Yeah, we've already seen, 8 minutes gone, and we've seen 2 or 3 speculative efforts in this game. The latest from Sam Osborne, 30 yards out, coming in from the right-hand side where he started. Just drags it onto his left foot, not his favourite, but tries his effort. Everyone been dreaming at Christmas of a wonder goal on Boxing Day, no doubt.
Cassidy, as you may remember from his time here at Notts 5 years ago, is quite tall, so he's going to provide the target man figure for Maidenhead today. Comley just sneaking along as Lacey throws the ball back to the goalkeeper Osborne. He gives it to Rawlinson, who's nearly caught in possession inside his own penalty area with 2 bright orange shirts bearing down on him. Osborne goes back to Slocum once more, who plays it out this time from right to left to Lacey, and the Magpies take their time and cycle it from right to left. And here's the important part now: it's great to have that patience and that build up as well and try to commit a few players, but once you've committed those players, that's when you've got to kind of move the ball quickly to make the hay that you've sort of generated, if you will. I'm going down a dark alley here, Stal, but you've got to move the ball quickly once you've committed those players to make it all work, right?
Yeah, the emergency flashing lights go on to get you out of that sentence.
Absolutely. Rose shoots from range and it drags a couple of yards wide, and that also took a nick on the way through. Second corner of the game for Notts.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You've got to move the ball. It's all right moving it slowly if you're looking for that space, but once you find that space, it's got to be played through the lines quickly with tempo, and that's exactly what they did on the second half Saturday, and that's what they'll be looking to do to Maidenhead. Probe, but then when you go with pace and venom.
Another corner kick. Doyle's come across to offer Enzio the short one once again, but this time the Dutchman's going to float it towards the back post. Really good ball. That's come off of a Maidenhead man last. Yes, it has. And Notts will have another corner, this one from the other side, and so the Dutchman will trot across and take a second corner in quick succession. 10 minutes on the clock, still goalless, but Notts have looked all right so far.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, it's been a good game, good start to the game. First 10 minutes, and it's worth pointing out that Maidenhead have got a far better record on the road than they have at home. So they're going to be dangerous today, and we've seen that already.
Yeah, 8 wins on the road so far this season, far outstrips most other teams. Another ball into the area, flicked away by Elul from the Maidenhead 6-yard box, and it's then cleared away down the Maidenhead right-hand side. Now back to Osborne and Doyle. They exchange a 1-2. It's with Doyle once more, back to Osborne again on the left wing. Quick Cruyff turn, takes it past one man, tries to beat another one, gets to the byline, almost brought down there. He's just muscled out of it in the end and then gives away a sloppy free kick.
Yeah, just a little bit of naivety there from Sam Osborne. Yeah, down the left-hand side, does well initially swapping passes with Michael Doyle, but then a little bit too honest in his endeavours to get to the byline. Could have maybe gone down, won the free kick. Eventually just does well to keep it in play, and then as he's chasing back with Tomasi, who's trying to clear the ball, just gives him a slightest of nudges from behind. The defender hits the ground and wins the free kick that maybe Sam Osborne could have had a moment before. 9
years more of experience from Tomasi on Osborne, and that showed there as the goalkeeper spoons the free kick out for a Notts throw-in. 11 minutes have been played, and interestingly, just for a moment, Osborne and Enzio stayed switched. So Enzio was on the right, Osborne the left, but they are now switching back again, and Lacey's in possession for Notts. This is his third appearance for the Magpies today. That's neat from him as he finds Dennis, who finds Enzio, who beats one man, who tries to beat another and does, and then there's a strong sliding tackle from Comley that puts the Dutchman on the seat of his pants. And Notts have it back with Kyle Wootton, who moved on to 11 goals and is now the outright top goal scorer for the Magpies so far this season, thanks to that brace at Halifax at the weekend. Both sides can't really maintain much possession at the moment. That's neat from Comley, though, who chests it down in the direction of one of his players. It's Clarima. Doyle was back there and enough of a presence. Now Osborne has it on the right wing, beats the left fullback with relative ease. Now gives it out to that right-hand side for the overlapping Dion Kelly-Evans, and his cross is blocked. Meanwhile, Forrester a goal up at Hull this afternoon. Lewis Grabham from the penalty spot there. 12 minutes on the clock, still 0-0 here. And we'll chat to Jake in a moment to find out how Mansfield are getting on at home against Port Vale. Second game in charge under the new manager, Graham Coughlin. Alex Lacey's got it. Meanwhile, inside the Maidenhead half, poor ball from Damien McCrory, though, gave it straight to Shackelford, and he's played a 1-2. McCrory tried to pull him down and couldn't, and so Shackelford still got it at the byline, tries to pick out his cross towards the back post, and Dion Kelly-Evans stretched every little bit of his 5'5" frame and just about managed to smuggle the ball away. It's with Mitchell Rose and now Conor Rawlinson. They will try to hit Notts on the counter-attack today, will the visiting team. Yeah,
they've certainly shown that intent, haven't they? They're playing a 4-1-4-1 formation, aren't they, almost, the visitors today. And they've shown there Damien McCrory just a little bit sloppy with his ball, gave it away, but they had Shackelford going forward down the right and three bodies trying to make up the ground in the Notts penalty area. So away from home, they're not short of throwing bodies forward.
Enzio knocked off the ball with relative ease that time by Twomasi, just because I don't think he was overly clear about what he wanted to do. So now with Rawlinson, who's got a couple of orange shirts around him, he goes back to his goalkeeper, Sam Slocums, who all in green this afternoon, and he dinks the ball onto the right wing for Kelly-Evans, controls it in his midriff. Back to Rawlinson, to Slocum once more. Notts living a little bit dangerously at times there on this thoroughly grey and drizzly, cold Boxing Day afternoon, where nearly 14 minutes have been played. Myself, Charlie Slater and Mark Stallard for you this afternoon. That's neat though, as Notts find some space, and now Lacey's able to step out of defence and carry the ball 25 to 30 yards. Rolls it across to McCrory on the left wing, now to Enzio Baldwin, who's got Twomasi on his back. He goes down, wants a free kick, arguably should have had one in my book as well, but it's going to be a throw.
Yeah, so Enzio not trying to get plenty of him on the ball. He's looking to pick up those places. Twomasi, when he comes on this left-hand side, he's staying really tight with him. But it's been a good opening. Opening. Both teams really looking to go forward, use the ball well. It's a zippy, greasy surface that helps as well. You fancy it's been quite open. You fancy there's goals in this game.
Wootton has the ball, picks it up, back to goal, edge of the area, and weaves around onto the left-hand side. To Enzio, draws double-man coverage, so finds McCrory, who was open, and he's blazed that a long way high and a long way wide. 14.5 minutes gone here, where it's goalless between Notts and Maidenhead. We'll find out this afternoon how Mansfield are getting on at Field Mill against Port Vale. Jake Garner. So, mate. Make me feel bad. I didn't say Boxing Day at all.
Is Happy Boxing Day a thing now?
I don't know. We'll ask. Compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season is a bit better, I think.
It's not a bad start, as you said.
Yeah, it is.
It's nice to watch. Thank you very much, Jake. You made us feel bad. We didn't say Happy Boxing Day to you. Compliments of the season from this part of Nottinghamshire as well, as Notts have won another throw-in. About 3 or 4 yards up the touchline from the corner flag away to our left-hand side on the opposite side of the pitch. It's kind of where the Jimmy Cyril stand meets the Kop. It's not kind of, it's exactly where they meet. And Notts will look to launch a long one with 16 minutes gone, and Mitchell Rose the launcher. Got a couple of goals for Notts in the second half. Could have had a hat-trick. Here comes the long throw. That was at Halifax on Saturday. Throw into the penalty area. Flicked all the way along the 6-yard box by 2 Maidenhead players before Christian Dennis tries to keep it in the bottom corner. Does do, but gives it straight back to an orange shirt once more. They clear it. Josh Kelly's on the ball, but Doyle is back there with his bright orange boots that match the Maidenhead kit, and then Slocum clears it away down the left-hand side, headed away in the opposite direction once more, and Notts put the ball back on the grass once more, and Connell Rawlinson is in possession. 16.5 minutes have been played here. It's 0-0 between Notts and Maidenhead. First ever meeting between these two sides. It is the final home game of the year for Notts. They'll have met twice this time next week, because as is tradition in the National League, that's a neat run meanwhile down the left-hand side from Clarima, who weaves between a couple of players before eventually being dispossessed by a couple of Notts players in the end. It's going to result in a Maidenhead throw on the far side, and sending a couple of their bigger players forward as well. So I suggest they've got a long throw in the arsenal should they need it. Instead they go short, and it's just about kept in by Comley. Back to Steer, cross into the penalty area, flicked goalwards all the way along the 6-yard box once more, but Sam Slocum was the first man to it. Having a quick glance at the Premier League games, there was one lunchtime kickoff there, and that was between Tottenham and Brighton. Spurs won by 2-1. Meanwhile, there's not been a single goal in any of the 6 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. Manchester United, Newcastle United still to come at 5:30, and then it's Leicester against Liverpool at 8 o'clock down the M1 from here. Throw in again for Notts on the far side. Again, just a couple of yards away from the corner flag, where you can hear the Kop making themselves heard this afternoon for the first time. 18 minutes gone. They'll be encouraged by what they've seen so far.
Yeah, well, that's from good movement from Carl Wootton, and that time Notts just going a little bit more direct. Carl Wootton just playing a lovely channel ball over the top, well weighted, giving Wootton something to run onto, and plays it off the Maidenhead defender for this throw that Mitch Rose will take. Yeah,
long throw into the penalty area. That one dealt with much better by Clarima, who heads the ball away. Comes back out to Doyle, who gives it to Rose, crossing at the near post. And you know, sometimes you make your mind up that you're going to head the ball no matter where that ball is, and stooping low was Alan Massey to head the ball away when it was much closer to his foot than it was his head. But it's another corner for Notts and a fourth of the game, which reflects where much of the game has been played.
Yeah, not taking any chances. The Maidenhead skipper there bending down, heading it behind for a corner. It's a greasy top. We mentioned his pace on that ball, maybe not wanting to swing a leg at it and risk slicing it somewhere towards his own goal. But either way, Notts get this corner. From there, attacking right, it's Enzio back out there looking to take it.
He's got a short option once again. This time it's Mitchell Rose. There are 2 Maidenhead players who've gone across, and their presence has disrupted whatever training ground routine was coming. That's not a bad ball though, and Notts have the lead. That man again, Kyle Wootton, his 12th of the season. How lovely to see the Magpies of Nottingham score a goal from a set piece. Brilliant bending ball from Enzio Baldwin. Powerful header from Kyle Wootton into the top corner of the net, giving the goalkeeper absolutely no chance at all. The Magpies of Nottingham 1, the Magpies of Maidenhead 0.
Yeah, we talk about decisions in football. Well, Enzio and Mitch Rose were out there looking to maybe take a short corner. Enzio decided to change that and proved to be the right decision. Good delivery from the corner, an outswinger with that right foot from the right-hand side. And Kyle Wootton rose virtually unchallenged about 6 yards out at the near post, got a direction on his header all right, inside the far post, into the side netting. No chance for the Maidenhead goalkeeper, Chris Dunn, and not so 1 goal to the good.
And a goal, as I said there, from a set piece. How often do we not see that?
I was going to say, it's not something we see too often. We've mentioned about it, but they've certainly got the height in there. Not somebody like Kyle Wootton in the form he's in front of goal. You want to put the ball in there at every opportunity, give him the chance, and he lost his Maidenhead defender. You've got to have a look at the Maidenhead defending there for a man like Kyle Wootton to be as free and unmarked and unopposed as he rose to head that ball in. You've got to ask questions, but from our perspective, we're not too worried about that. And Kyle Wootton continues his scoring run. Is that his 12th of the season?
Certainly is. Got a couple at the weekend at Halifax as well. And yeah, on to 12 for the season. A very, very good return at this stage. Wootton's on the ball again. Gives it to Doyle, dinks it down that left-hand side. Oh, it's not bad. It's going to weave and curl behind the Maidenhead defenders, and Notts have got it back. Enzio nearly finds McCrory inside the penalty area. Just cut out in time, and Notts have got another corner and are in search of a second. Yeah,
they're certainly on the front foot as well, aren't they? Notts, we asked, could they carry it on from where they left off on Saturday, and it's not been too far away, but you know that 1 goal to the good already. They've got this corner on the left-hand side. Enzio dispossessing the fullback there, and you know, can they make this advantage count early on where they look the better team? They've got the first. Can they go and get a second?
Another short corner. Doyle plays it in. Rawlinson tries to help it on its way. So did Lacey, but there were enough orange shirts and bodies in the way to prevent that one from going near the goal mouth. And it's going to be a throw-in instead. Notts smell blood.
Yeah, we've seen Maidenhead on the break. We said they're going to look dangerous going forward. They've had their moment themselves, but they don't half look vulnerable at the back. Balls into the penalty area. Notts looking very, very dangerous.
Another long throw on the way from Mitchell Rose. It is a long one as well, almost too long for all the targets at the near post, but Maidenhead clear it away, and then Michael Doyle cuts off the run of James Comley, and Comley hits the deck as if he'd been hit by Anthony Joshua. He's back up to his feet, so it doesn't show the after effects of this if he'd been hit by Anthony Joshua, but certainly bought that free kick as Michael Doyle showed a bit of experience and nous as well to cut the run.
Yeah, he did, but I say Comley certainly bought that. The referee coming under a bit of pressure here. They thought Maidenhead had taken that free kick instead of they claiming they were just rolling it back to the goalkeeper.
I think they thought, a couple of them maybe thought they had as well.
But either way, the referee lets it go on. But it's been a decent start, really open game. You know, you fancy that isn't going to be the end of the score, and you just want Notts to continue on that front foot, keep pressing, because Maidenhead, well, they look dangerous and the stats back them up. You know, they've got a better record, as we mentioned, away from home. 22 of their 31 points in the league have come away from home. So they are obviously a dangerous team, but that would back up the fact that they obviously are a little bit open as well.
They've won the last 2 away games as well, as Rawlinson makes a good intervention on the edge of his own penalty area. Up to Dennis, now to Enzio on the left wing. Have a run, lad. He's got a man in front of him. He'll beat him, and then he stabs the ball through the middle, trying to find the onward running Christian Dennis, but perhaps a touch excited was Enzio there, and it's gone all the way through to the goalkeeper. 23.5 minutes have been played. Notts leading by a goal to 0 thanks to a Kyle Wootton header from an Enzio Baldwin corner, as a header is won by Clarima. Forced to Doyle, who passes to Osborne, now Dennis, now Kelly Evans, and back to Rose, who wears the number 4 on his back and scored a couple of goals at Halifax on Saturday. Ball to Alex Lacey. Neil Ardley stands on the edge of his technical area, hands in his pockets, probably quite satisfied with what he's seen so far. That ball aside, which has run all the way out for a goal kick.
Yeah, just a little bit straight, wasn't it, from Lacey there, looking to play the ball in over the top. Enzio showing and then spinning, looking to get him behind the Maidenhead defence, but difficult ball to hit when it's straight like this, with a greasy top. So they've got to be really well flighted, or they've got to play on them angles or shorter and into feet. But on that occasion, Alex Lacey not finding the right club for the pass.
Enzio wins a second header of the game. I would imagine that's the first time all season. And he's started well and is very much at the centre of Knott's plans in this one, trying to get him on the ball as often as they possibly can, as Twomasi plays the ball down the right wing, skips off of this greasy surface, as Mark Stallard was calling it just a few moments ago, and runs all the way out for a goal kick away to our right hand side. 25 minutes have been played here. Wonder if we can check in with Jake again at Field Mill, find out how the Stags are getting on against Port Vale. So mate, how's everything going on back there? Right, good. Just give us a shout if there's a point where you can't play any more trails, and I'll pick up and apologise and yada yada. So mate. Thank you very much, Jake. Notts have got a throw in here deep in Maidenhead territory where they lead by a goal to nil. It goes back towards Rose, who's going to try and pick out Dennis at the back stick. It bends towards that penalty area and takes a bounce, but Maidenhead will clear away up towards the halfway line. Dion Kelly-Evans climbing high, or as high as he can do, against Josh Kelly to win a header on the halfway line. A couple of the players who aren't playing for Notts today have just made their way into the stand up near us to take their seats to watch this game. 26 minutes have been played. Back with you with match day on Saturday. 2 o'clock kickoff as far as match day goes, ahead of the 3 o'clock kickoff at Solihull. Notts against Solihull, the main game of the day there. So match day starting at 2 ahead of the 3 o'clock start, and then back with you again on Sunday. Match day again starts at 2 o'clock. Forest against Wigan and Bradford against Mansfield. Sam Osborne turns away from a couple of players on the halfway line, pushes it out of his feet, and then finds Kyle Wootton. That's a lovely ball down the right wing. Dion Kelly-Evans won't quite get there. He left it, Sam Osborne left it. Maybe in the end Ozzy should have got on the end of it, but it allows Maidenhead to clear away down the left-hand side on foot with Kelly, who's running the ball out. Tackle made by I think Osborne. Doyle went across as well, and Doyle says that Kelly threw himself on the floor and has an angry word for him afterwards.
Yeah, I was going to say, not unlike Michael Doyle to upset one of the opponents. But that's what it is. But again, yeah, 2 Notts players, Dion Kelly-Evans and Sam Osborne on that right-hand side, just a little bit leaving it for each other, neither taking control of the situation, and as is Kelly for Maidenhead, able to come away with the ball and make 40-50 yards. Ball
forward up towards Wootton, who turns on the halfway line into the centre circle, rolls the ball across now to McCrory, who lets it run. Odd decision. He's trying to buy himself some time, I think, and see if any other options presented themselves. They were never really going to, so he had to go back to Lacey, who's cleared it long. Rose wins a header on the halfway line, up in the direction of Dennis, the number 9. Got Wes Thomas on the bench this afternoon. Clearly Mark Stallard just being rested at the moment with so many games. Yeah, just Neil Ardley able to shuffle his pack a little bit. Christian Dennis has come in. He's been quite lively in the opening 27 minutes that we've had so far. He's had that early opportunity where he maybe just snatched at his chance a little bit on that inside left channel, but he's linked the play quite well, has not looked to build. Here's Wootton, nearly here's Wootton inside the centre circle. Ball just about beyond his stretch and reach. So Twomasi goes back to the goalkeeper. Chris Dunn's clearly not got the best distribution in the world, as he nearly put that one out. Has that ball gone out? No, the linesman says no. Thought it had done from our angle, but the lino says no. I think there were a few players in his way that stopped him from seeing that clearly. Not should have had a throw, but they've not. And instead, Maidenhead have got it down the right wing. Oh, that's a tough-looking, robust tackle from Damien McCrory. Fortunately, he didn't catch the ball or the player. And so Notts have it back now, though, with Baldwin back to McCrory, now to Doyle. Lovely ball. He's got loads of space, does the Irishman, to run into. Crosses the halfway line. They have players available to him, left and right as well. It's to Kelly-Evans, now to Osborne, inside the area, takes a touch and another, and shoots and scores. Sam Osborne Osborne with a wonderful team goal, his second as a Magpie, his first here at Meadow Lane, and he salutes the Kop, who in turn stand as one to give him the standing ovation that he's longed for since coming through the academy. Sam Osborne with his second for Notts, a second of the afternoon that the Magpies have grabbed as well. Notts 2, Maidenhead 0, 29 minutes on the clock.
Well, yet another fantastic Notts County team goal with an unbelievable finish at the end of it. Sam Osborne, he scored a worldie down at Boreham Wood with his right foot. He scored another worldie today with his left foot. What a finish that is to a flowing Notts County move, starting from Damien McCrory at the left-back position. Instead of just booting the ball anywhere, picked out Michael Doyle in the middle of the park, who advanced, made 10-15 yards, spread it out to the right-hand side to Dion Kelly-Evans. A lovely little inside ball to Sam Osborne, who shifted the ball really well onto his left foot, sold a couple of dummies to Maidenhead defenders. Could he find a finish with his left foot from just inside the penalty area? Absolutely, he could, right in the postage stamp. Fantastic. Another goal of the season contender from Notts County.
Do you remember last season when there were like no goal of the season contenders? There must be 15 already this season, and we're halfway through.
Yeah, there's going to be some fantastic goals, not even make the final however many, 10 or whatever, but it absolutely wouldn't. That's the sort of goal that managers will absolutely love, and coaching staff. You know, a great finish, yes, Sam Osborne takes all the plaudits for that, but a really good team goal going from one end of the pitch to the other. Plenty of players involved, passing the ball on the ground. It's exactly what you want to see.
And that was exactly what I was talking about earlier on when I was getting all my metaphors and words mixed up, when I was talking about once you've been patient at the back and you've got men committed and you've managed to get past them, all of a sudden the pitch opens up to you, move it quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Doyle did that.
Absolutely.
They're going to try and do so again here with Kyle Wootton, dead centre. He's soaring towards the edge of the penalty area. He finds Osborne, first time ball into the edge of the 6-yard box sort of area, and it's cleared away by the Maidenhead defenders. But Notts are in fine fettle this afternoon with 31 minutes on the clock. They're leading against Maidenhead by 2-0.
Yeah, Magpies v Magpies, it's 2 for joy as far as Notts are concerned at this moment in time. Some of the football are playing absolutely superb. It's a lovely surface as well to be playing. It really zippy, really greasy. But, you know, let's not get carried away with ourselves. 2 goals ahead, always dangerous. Maidenhead have shown, the stats say, the league table says, that away from home they are dangerous. So this game is by no means over.
Oh, they've got some fight in them, that's for sure. I mean, it's not that long since we saw them beat Dover by 4-3 at Dover, which, as we know, is a difficult place to go to, just because it's a long way away. I don't know if it's a difficult place to go to football-wise, it's just a long way. Here's Enzio, turns, tried to find McCrory, right idea, right move, just the pass that was lacking in the end.
Yeah.
Maidenhead have the ball, crossing the halfway line with it is Davis. Tackle made by Notts though, and they have it back once more, and they'll build from the back again with 32 minutes on the clock on this cold Boxing Day afternoon. The footballers warming everybody's cockles at the moment. Osborne trying to find onward running Kyle Wootton, but it's blocked. It's back to Osborne once more though, this time tries to lift it up over the top for Dennis. But again, it was blocked and cleared away by a Maidenhead defender. At least he's always looking forward. Yeah,
I'm seeing the positivity. Second half Halifax, we spoke about it, and the intent and the positivity in their play. And they have carried that on into the first 32 minutes that we've had of this first half. There's an intent about their play, that the positivity. Yes, they've had to keep the ball and been slow at times passing the ball, but that's looking for that hole, looking for that gap, and when they've found it, they're looking to exploit it with quick, positive passing, and that's exactly what they're trying to do today.
33 minutes on the clock, 2-0 to Notts. Quick hello to Malcolm Fletcher, who's been a fan for more than 60 years, usually travels from Godmanchester, which is kind of near Cambridge, Peterborough way, for home games with his wife Debbie. Not been too well of late, so wish you get better very soon, Malcolm, and get back to the lane as quick as you possibly can. Long ball forward from Lacey, tries to find Christian Dennis, who's onside, and gets it down the left wing. Got Enzio as an option, weaves between a couple of players with the ball. He's now on it as the Dutchman takes it past one, takes it past another, and now finds Michael Doyle as he's just shepherded away from the penalty area a touch. To McCrory, back to Enzio once more, back to goal, gives it to Michael Doyle up near the halfway line, dinks it down that left wing. Twomasi takes a rather reckless touch with his chest, and he's now in trouble near his own corner flag. Does well though, clears it away with Dennis lurking ever so close, and Maidenhead now have it with James Comley, who's from Montserrat. They are just being harried and hustled off the ball by those Notts players, and it forces an error, and Notts have got a throw. Neil Ardley must be absolutely thrilled with his first 34 minutes, Star.
Yeah, he will, as is everyone with a Notts bias, of course. But what we've got to guard against, they've got to keep that tempo high. I'd love to see Notts go and get a third. They have been sort of dominant in this first half, barring that one chance for Maidenhead that led to a free kick where Sam Slocum had to come out of goal. But they have been dominant. But 2-0, as I always say, when it's sometimes easier to play when you're 2 down. It galvanises the mind. There's only one way to go. You may as well throw the kitchen sink at it. You've got nothing to lose. And as we all know, if Maidenhead get the next goal in this game, all of a sudden the momentum can shift. So while not so well firmly on top, you'd like to see them keep going, keep this tempo high, and keep pushing for a third goal.
Connor Rawlinson on the ball inside his own half, gives it to Kelly Evans, who slides it down the right wing for Kyle Wootton. Osborne running in behind. Back to Kelly Evans once more. Nice opportunity for him to have a little run again, was maybe Kelly Evans. Brindley came in and kind of grabbed the shirt. Dion Kelly Evans had done nothing wrong to lose it in the first place, but that's an area of the pitch that Neil Ardley has a bit of strength and depth at right fullback, which is why Mac Tootle was allowed to sit out in the cold for so long before eventually leaving the football club, going up to Chesterfield. And obviously we wish him all the best up there. He's such a great servant for this club over the last few years, player of the season. He's now with Kyle Wootton out to the right hand side, tries to find Osborne, who by hook or by crook does get on the end of it. He beats his man, he cuts into the middle of the pitch. Oh, he nearly slotted it through to his skipper Michael Doyle, who was breaking into the Maidenhead penalty area. How often do you say or see that? Now gets back and gets in front of Brendan Comley as well. He's quite remarkable, Doyle. 38 years old. Did the maths the other day. This is like his 22nd year as a pro at Christmas, which means he's had to eat carefully, not drink, on Christmas Day for 22 years. I could think of worse court and prison sentences than that. Break off, because here's Jake Cassidy, who shoots. Get their first attempt on target, I think, but it's a comfortable enough save for Sam Slocum. Yeah,
he did well, Cassidy. They're working hard. He's been isolated for the last 10-15 minutes, and Maidenhead not having anything going forward. Notts have been that dominant, but they're just working hard, just getting in between Lacey and Rawlinson, pulling the trigger from inside the D on the edge of the penalty area with his left foot, but all along the ground, and a comfortable save for Sam Slocum. But just enough of a reminder that Maidenhead do offer something going forward, so Notts can't be complacent.
Magpies back in possession once more. Christian Dennis is the man who's on the ball. Magpies don't tend to fare all that well on Boxing Day as Dion Kelly Evans flies into a tackle and wins it. Just having a close eye on the far side to see if there's any afters there. There is a little bit of pushing, bit of shoving as well. Dion Kelly Evans tells I think it's Remy Clarima exactly what he thinks of him as he gets back up to his feet. And Notts are still in possession with Osborne round the corner to Wootton. Neat little 1-2 back into the path of Osborne. Shoots, deflects, where's it going? Just wide. It's a corner kick, a sixth of this first half. Lovely link-up play. The Magpies are playing with such freedom and fluidity. Yeah, really good play. Again, a little give and go. Sam Osborne into the feet of Carl Wootton, just being that wall as a centre forward. Just come and bounce the ball off me. Wide man Sam Osborne finding himself on the inside right channel, using the centre forward as a wall, gets the ball back, and his shot deflects into the cop behind the goal away to our left, and it'll be another Notts County corner from their attacking right, which Enzio will go across and take. Scored from one of these already, and from this side it was a Route 1 corner, if there is a type, with Enzio bending the ball into the 6-yard box, edge of the 6-yard box, and Kyle Wootton rising highest with a powerful booming header into the top corner. Here comes another outswinging corner from Enzio towards Wootton. It's headed down inside the 6-yard box. Keeper under real pressure. He's kept the ball the right side of his goal line, but there were a few shouts and a few question marks as to whether he'd done so. The goalkeeper's quickly bowled the ball out, and it's with Steer, who's played it forwards up to the edge of the 18-yard box, and Kelly's tried to find Clarima, who's up there as well, but Notts have managed to get enough black and white shirts back in the end to prevent the counter-attack from doing any more damage. But a bit of chaos inside that Maidenhead penalty area just a moment ago. Yeah, there certainly was. I think it was Rawlinson winning the initial header from the corner, and there's a bit of a scramble in the 6-yard box, eventually the ball breaking up into the hands of Dunn, who
clutched hold of it under a little bit of pressure, but then released the fullback, and they managed to make 70-80 yards, and that goes to show you what they're going to look to do, the counter-attack. They've got a bit of pace in the flank areas, and they're going to throw bodies forward at 2-0 down. They've got to take a little bit of a risk, but they've got a little bit of threat going forward.
38 minutes are on the clock here, nearly 39. I was about to say in the lead up to that last Notts attack, Magpies don't tend to fare all that well on Boxing Day. They lost 2-1 here against Macclesfield last Boxing Day. How costly that result proved to be. Their last win was only a couple of years ago, 4-1 at Morecambe on Boxing Day, but all up they have lost 4 of their last 5 Boxing Day games. Long way to go, but they look to be on course to capture 3 points today. 40 minutes on the clock nearly here at Meadow Lane. This cold, misty, drizzly Boxing Day afternoon. We hope you had a good Christmas day wherever you were celebrating yesterday. You're listening to Match Day on BBC Radio Nottingham. Back with you not tomorrow but the next day at Solihull, on air from 2 o'clock. Lovely ball from right to left. McCrory tried the first time cross. It's cleared high in the air but not all that far away. Mitch Rose leaps like a salmon, as does McCrory, and Notts have it at the feet of Sam Osborne, who turns it into the path of Kyle Wootton. His touch was just a little bit too firm, and it presented it back to a Maidenhead defender who's cleared it away up towards the halfway line, where Notts will have a throw. Yeah,
good play again, just a heavy touch from Kyle Wootton. He'll be disappointed with himself again. Good little reverse ball around the corner from Sam Osborne, and then to just slap in hands as the ball gets cleared away, and looking to build a little bit of partnership. Like to see things like that on a pitch, a little bit of understanding between players.
I watched a training session of Notts about a month ago or so now. It's probably about 5 or 6 weeks actually, and it's all that they work on, those attacking players. The defenders get taken one way by Neil Cox. All the other players who could be involved in an attack, and that includes people like Mitch Rose and Michael Doyle, they just work at times on that final third, getting the ball just inside the half, and then Michael Doyle or Mitchell Rose acting as the pivot, left to right, inward passing, incisive passing, in between the lines, trying to get players turned and playing balls around the corner and balls into the penalty area. It's a huge focus of Neil Ardley, and when it comes off it looks great, and so far today it has done, and in the second half at Halifax it did as well. It's about trying to establish it on a more regular basis as Mitch Rose gets caught in possession inside the last 5 minutes of this first half now. So important to protect the 2-goal lead going into the break. Yeah,
exactly. Want to go in at least 2 goals to the good, but I think Notts' best form of defence is attack today. This Maidenhead team, offer a threat going forward. They're not shy in throwing bodies forward when they have had chance. They've not had a lot of chance to attack because Notts have been so dominant, but I do think they're massively vulnerable, Maidenhead, defensively. And when you get runners, them little wide players drift in from the touchline, Maidenhead seem to be all over the shop on who's picking who up.
Dennis is on the ball, shifts it to Wootton, who can't quite get on the end of it. Mitch Rose is now forced to make a tackle on Steer, who's managed to find Comley. Comley's got a man out to his left-hand side, and that's the direction that he goes. It's with Davis, approaches the edge of the Notts penalty area, going to have a shot at goal. It deflects into the feet of Conor Rawlinson, who clears away, gets clattered as well by the Maidenhead man. But back up towards the halfway line does the ball. I was just watching Michael Doyle a moment ago there. Even he's recognising the sheer amount of space that he's able to drift into, and so he's making these onward runs. Just got to be careful he's not leaving massive amounts of space in behind him. Mitch Rose covered just about in time for Doyle to get back involved in the action on the right side of the ball, but he's seeing the space, and you just can't help but make those runs when Notts are enjoying the afternoon that they are doing so far.
Yeah, that's it. You've just got to be careful though that you don't take a liberty and just make one run too much. I'm saying Michael Doyle, it's not him, but we've seen on 2 or 3 occasions, because the space has been there, he's been able to go beyond where you would normally see him. But also when you're two goals up, you don't want to start taking that liberty of going, let's go in search of that third one, because you do leave spaces in behind, and if it does break down, you don't want to leave yourselves vulnerable.
Enzio Baldwin on the right wing, pushes the ball past his man and hurdles him into the area, back to Dennis, 3-0! Oh, it's lovely stuff from Notts County. The Flying Dutchman, the scoring Dennis. 3-0 Notts. Merry Christmas, Meadow Lane. It's going to be 3-0 at half-time at this rate. There are less than 2 minutes to go until the break, and it's another lovely, fast, free-flowing move from the Flying Magpies.
Yeah, that's absolutely everything you want to see from Notts, isn't it? Enzio get the ball. Yes, the game's open. Yes, Maidenhead defensively have looked terrible, let's be honest about it. He skips past the fullback and then he's got 30-40 yards to run into. Picks his head up, doesn't just blaze it anywhere, picks his head up. Christian Dennis has just held out, maybe around the penalty spot, 10 yards out or so. And Enzio just pulls the ball along the deck to him. Christian Dennis just concentrates on making good solid contact with his left foot, the side of his foot, and on this greasy surface it zips past Chris Dunn in the goal. The ball never leaves the deck, does it, all the way in that build-up. Fantastic build-up down the right-hand side. Good delivery, good finish from Christian Dennis. Notts 3 goals to the good, and that's the goal that will just allow Notts to breathe a bit more easily at half-time.
Well, Shackelford's on the ball here, meanwhile, for Maidenhead, and he's trying to get to the byline. In the end, he'll spoon his cross behind. Less than a minute remains now at the end of this first half. Enough people ask, what is Christian Dennis? Is he a target man? No. Is he fast? No, not really. He's a finisher. And you stick a ball on a plate for him like that, he's more likely than not, amongst any of these other Notts players, to find the bottom of the net. Yeah,
I've said all season that although he's maybe found his game time and his starts limited, I still think he's probably the best striker, the best finisher that Notts have got on the books, despite, Carl Wootton finishing brilliantly and being the leading scorer. Wes Thomas got a good number of goals to his name as well. But I think as a natural finisher, I still think Christian Dennis is probably the best Notts have. And he looks, as a centre forward, he looks to maybe drop deep. He mixes his game up, can do a bit of everything, but he'll look to drop deep and link up play. He'll make 1 or 2 runs in behind, but he can consider himself really unlucky that he's not had more starts in a Notts shirt. But when you do get that chance, you've got to make sure you take it, and he's certainly done it this season for Notts.
Well, you consider that. He's on to 10 goals now for the season, Christian Dennis, and not that many from starts. Last season he scored 7 goals all up, all season long, both here and then when he went to Grimsby in the second half of the 2018-19 season. On to double figures long ago did he surpass that 7 mark. In the Premier League, Bournemouth are beating Arsenal by a 1-0. New manager there at Arsenal. Southampton are leading at Chelsea by a 1-0. It's a good day for the South Coast clubs. And Watford are 1-0 up at Sheffield United under Nigel Pearson, of course. Brushed Manchester United aside the other day. They will have a new manager bounce, sure of that. We have got less than a minute of the 2 minutes stoppage time that have been added on. Conor Rawlinson wins a header midway through his own half, and he nods it to himself before volleying the ball high into the ever-darkening sky above Meadow Lane, above the Jimmy Cyril stand. As we look at it, we can see Stanton in the background and up towards Mapley. It's a free kick for Notts just inside the Maidenhead half that Doyle's taken quickly. Tried to find Christian Dennis, who's onside, turns, shoots. It deflects and comes back towards Davis, who's found his teammate, who in turn found the backside of Kyle Wootton, and that deflection eventually ended up in the gloves of Chris Dunn, who's shipped 3 goals in this first half. Got 10 seconds remaining of the first 45 plus a couple of minutes, and it's been a very happy Boxing Day so far.
Yeah, perfect first half. This has been from a Notts perspective. They've played well, and there goes the half-time whistle.
A little bit of a switch to Maidenhead's formation in this second half, and when you're 3-0 down, Stal, I can't imagine that's a big surprise that they're going to go for it.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Whitehall is the leading scorer with 9, so he comes on. I mean, they've tried a 4-1-4-1 formation in the first half. Well, I say they got bodies forward, but Notts dominated possession and cut them open almost at will down the other end. So Alan Devonshire, former West Ham player, who's manager of Maidenhead, makes his 2 changes, and I'm just looking, it looks like they're going to go almost 4-4-2.
And you can kind of feel it here inside the stadium. It's so relaxed all of a sudden. You just have to hope that isn't transferred across to the players. Yeah,
I mean, we talked about complacency not setting in. Neil Ardley will want to get that message over. I think what he'll say, I mean, don't go out and get beat in the second half. You've got to have that old mindset of it's 0-0. Very difficult because the fans are sitting here thinking the game's won, that 3 points are in the bag. And what you don't want to do is that to transmit into a bit of a sort of lethargic performance in the second half. You want them to go about the business in the right way and go on, and who knows, at the end of the season, go and extend that goal difference.
Well, Notts in the second half, unsurprisingly, are unchanged. Sam Slocum in goal, Dion Kelly-Evans at right back, Damien McCrory left back, Connor Rawlinson and Alex Lacey in the middle of defence, Enzio Baldwin and Sam Osborne on the wings, and then in the middle of defence it's Mitch Rose and Michael Doyle, and up top Christian Dennis and Kyle Wotton. The goals in that first half came from a Wotton header from an Enzio corner 20 minutes into the game, from a wonder goal and a brilliant build-up team goal as well, from Sam Osborne in the 29th minute, and then Enzio involved again 2 minutes before the break, pushed the ball out of his feet, pushed it past the left full-back and off to the races he went, put it on a plate for Christian Dennis, who got Notts third of the half. That's a good ball from Doyle, and out to Damien McCrory on the left wing, and back to Doyle once more. Dennis is showing. The angle was cut off, I think, by the referee as much as one of the Maidenhead players. So Lacey will go all the way back to the goalkeeper, Sam Slocum. For a striker when you're 3-0 up, Mark Stallard, it is, I guess, like a shark. You smell blood and you're thinking this afternoon could be the afternoon. And with that in mind, how important and how significant would a fourth goal for Notts be in the early stages of this second half to puncture any kind of thoughts of a comeback? Yeah,
to kill any comeback before it's even a potential. But I mean, strikers will never change it. With 3-0 at half time, you want to be going and getting 4, 5, 6, because you can sense a hatful. You know, everyone else might be managing the game, but as a striker, you want the team to play forward. You want to go and attack at every opportunity. So always a little bit of a frustration there, because you don't get too many afternoons or evenings in a season where you feel that there are goals here, plenty of them. And the way Maidenhead defended in that first half, and the way Notts attacked, you know, really well, cut them open, you just fancy that there could be a hatful here today.
They've got some size up front now in Cassidy and Whitehall, and some goals as well, 15 goals between the two of them. Josh Kelly's still out there, who's got 4, and Josh Smile, who's on the left hand side for the time being, has 3 to his name so far. Meanwhile, Osborne's on his bike. Rose will find him down the right hand side. He's sprinting to get on the end of it. It's Dion Kelly-Evans in the end, and a strong tackle from the fullback who's come across there, Rennie Steer, and put the ball out for a Notts throw right next to the corner flag. 3.5 minutes played so far in this second half. Notts leading by 3-0. We'll be busy over the next few days. Back with you on Saturday at Solihull, match day starting at 2 o'clock. And then there's another match day on Sunday, Forest in action against Wigan and Bradford playing Mansfield. Meanwhile, Rose here will take the long throw into the area. Rawlinson flicks it down. It's going to be cleared away from near the penalty spot and up towards the halfway line. They look very shaky defensively, Mark Stallard. Yeah,
they certainly do. Now, that's credit to Notts, of course. You can only make a team look shaky if you attack well. But yeah, I've seen nothing from a Maidenhead point of view defensively that makes me think, you know, that Notts can't obviously go on and get more in this second half. And obviously, hopefully they do that and see the game and get all 3 points. And then we're on to Solihull, and obviously the reverse fixture down at Maidenhead in 6 days' time.
Lovely play again down the right-hand side from Kelly-Evans and from Osborne. And then Christian Dennis has hit one inches wide of the post, and it took a deflection on the way through. And so Notts straight back onto the front foot with a 7th corner of the game. Yeah, that's it. Christian Dennis, like you say, will be smelling blood. He'll be wanting a hatful of goals. He's already got 1, as has Kyle Wotton and Sam Osborne. They'll be wanting more. They'll want to add to it. And that shot from the 25 yards out, little deflection, a little skimmer of a shot. Never really got above knee height, but only a foot or 2 wide of that left-hand post of Chris Dunn. And out for a corner from Notts attacking right-hand side that Enzio will take. 5 minutes have been played in this second half. Enzio with the ball in at the near post, and it beat the man at the front post. McCrory was occupying him, that was Whitehall, and I think it caught Comley by surprise, who was just in behind him, and he sort of bellied it, which is always easier at this time of year, behind for another Notts corner.
It's easier for some than others.
Enzio will take the outswinging corner kick with his right foot. Bit deeper this one, not a bad ball as well, headed away from the edge of the 6-yard box. Mitch Rose, the first one to it, tries to turn the ball back round the corner in the opposite direction with a cheeky back heel, but that was always going to be difficult to execute, and with the benefit of hindsight, which is always 20/20, you do wonder whether or not he had better options than that. But when you're 3-0 up, you have that kind of freedom, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. When you're 3 up, as long as you're doing that around the opposition penalty area, there's not too much trouble. But Just break off as Maidenhead. Just got 2 or 3 bodies forward and can't link up together and allows Notts to break.
That's not a bad ball up over the top though from Michael Doyle, who's found Kyle Wootton, who controls it on the laces to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Goes back now to Sam Osborne, who's switched flanks. There's been a goal at Field Mill. We'll head there in just a moment. Back to Kyle Wootton once more up near the halfway line as he's forced to track back. Gives it to McCrory and now to Doyle, the Irish connection in full effect here this afternoon at Meadow Lane. That's lovely football again from Notts, and it's really neat as Sam Osborne's put through one-on-one with a goalkeeper. His touch took him too wide, but the linesman's flag was already up, and Jake Garner can tell us about a goal. So, mate. Nick, play that.
Yeah.
David and Moo still going. Uh-oh. Watch your back. Thank you very much, Jake. We'll be back across to Field Mill throughout the afternoon to bring you the very latest there. It's match day on BBC Radio Nottingham. Notts winning by 3-0. Mansfield losing by 1-0, as you've just heard, and Forest a goal up at Hull in the Championship. Enzio Baldwin's on the ball on the right-hand side. Just a moment, Mark Stallard, to reflect on that latest passing move for Notts County, as I have to break off now as Jake Cassidy's onto it. He fakes to shoot, goes past Dion Kelly-Evans and nearly gets one back for Maidenhead. He sticks it just over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, very nearly does, and perhaps could have done a little bit better. He had an option of a slotted ball to his right-hand side. His strike partner just calling for the ball, but he did all the work himself. So maybe felt he bought himself the opportunity, let fly from 20 yards, and it dipped just over the crossbar, wasn't it? It just didn't dip in time. But a little warning for Notts, you know, that Maidenhead aren't going to give this game up. They're not out of it. Certainly, they definitely pose more threat going forward than their abilities defensively, Maidenhead, which are sparse to say the least. But yeah, in an attacking sense, Cassidy, and he's now out there alongside with Josh Kelly. They've got 1 or 2 dangerous players, and now they've got Whitehall on the leading scorer as well. They might just offer a little bit more threat than they did in the first half. 53
minutes gone. Wootton does well, holds it up and gives it to Rose, who's then tackled to the ground from behind, and the referee, I think, is about to delve into his pocket. Yes, he has done. Alan Massey is going to be booked, so the skipper goes in the book, and free kick. I think they could have probably nicked a couple more yards here, Notts, and taken it into shooting range, but I mean, Enzio's distribution's been so good so far, particularly from those corner kicks, of course. He's on the ball again for this one. He's rarely done that this season. It's all last. It's always been either Michael Doyle last season or this season, Booty or Shields, and he's got the opportunity today and done very well. Yeah,
no Sean Shields obviously there today, so it's Enzio and Michael Doyle stood over the ball at the minute. Looks like Enzio's going to deliver with his right foot. Not quite shooting opportunity this, but he made them out to move it, stop it, and then stand it up to the back post.
That's exactly what they're going to do. They have done, although we read that, Comley read that, and so Comley was able to charge down out of the wall, and it completely changed Enzio's free kick. And so now Notts have it back with Osborne out to the right-hand side where Enzio is as well. They're doubling up on that right wing. Mitchell Rose onto it. Might have just been offside, but the linesman was so close to it, I don't think he could quite tell. He didn't really have the benefit of great perspective. And so Notts are going to end up with a throw-in near the corner flag, and Rose is already over there, so he might as well take it. 55 minutes gone. 10 minutes have been played then in the second half, Mark Stallard. Important through that 10 minutes to keep the door shut defensively.
Yeah, it is. We've had one decent chance, as you say, Cassidy, for Maidenhead, showing that they're lively, but Notts as well have shifted the ball well. 1 and 2 touch, had a real good movement. Nearly got Sam Osborne through 3 or 4 minutes ago, where the linesman's flag just went up when he was half a yard offside. But yeah, vital to get through that 10 minutes and so hopefully push on now and comfortably manage this game out.
Long throw has been headed away and then cleared away out onto the left-hand side, but Mitch Rose is battling back to try and win it off of Clarima. He's not managed to do so. It's now with Kelly, who tries to find the reverse ball to Clarima, but Doyle got there first, and all over the back of Rose once more, who could have gone down, you sense, but he didn't, and instead he's gone all the way back to Slocum, who has to scramble out of his 18-yard box to clear forwards. Kyle Wootton puts his body in on Alan Massey and tried to buy a free kick. Very clever, had most people fooled, but not the referee, and Maidenhead are still in possession.
Yeah, I think he just lost his footing, didn't he? Came across to try and shield the ball, lost his footing on the way, and a little bit of Bambi on ice at this time of year, but yeah, went down, all arms and legs went down in instalments, but nothing doing from the referee, and I think it's probably the right call.
Yeah. It's a cold evening now down by the banks of the River Trent. The Black Notts County flag that sits on top of the flagpole over the Jimmy Cyril stand is limp as Osborne nearly gets through on the goalkeeper. He's so quick as he breaks through. Meanwhile, Michael Doyle's been caught by James Comley. Chance of off, which I think are rather optimistic. And down goes Doyle, who's on all fours at the moment. And he looks up at Comley and says, "You caught me with an arm or an elbow," or something like that. He's a hard lad, he'll be fine. I was
going to say, I wonder what you said he was going to look at him and say then. You caught me with a... Yeah, either way, Michael Doyle's back on his feet, not too badly hurt, just a sore one round the ear. I think it was a leading forearm from Comley, just a word from the ref. Notts get the free kick and can crack on, but just a moment ago, Doyle almost able to get Osborne through again, that inside run. So this is a feature of this Neil Ardley team, and the way Notts play, you know, play with a 4-4-2, but then wide men so often come off the line, play on them inside perches, if you like, just looking in between the lines, looking to make them runs and then breaks, and allowing the width to be provided by the fullbacks. And at times like that, Sam Osborne very nearly getting on that through ball and in behind this Maidenhead defence, which, to be honest, you could drive a double-decker bus through.
Certainly could. Wes Thomas will be sat on the bench this afternoon licking his lips. Even Mark Stallard fancies his chances. Get him out there, I say. Fox in the box. Osborne's on the ball. Plays it up towards Wootton. Back to Osborne, level with the halfway line and out to the left-hand side. 58 minutes about to tick over here. He beats one man with absolute ease, does Osborne. Still keeps going down the left wing. 1-2 played with McCrory. Never really going to get on the end of that, though. And Twomasi wins it, turns and belts it forward down the right-hand side. But Lacey's there, who's been highly praised in his early days as a Notts player. Had a bit of a hamstring problem when he first joined, and so had to sit on the sidelines for the first couple of 3 weeks or so. But here's Enzio. He's been told to skin him. He stood on the ball by accident and presented it back to the orange side of Maidenhead. Unfortunate there. It's probably the first thing that Enzio's done wrong all afternoon, but Notts have got it back. And he's back on the ball once more. He tries to beat one man. He's still got it. Dion Kelly-Evans been levelled, meanwhile, by one of the Maidenhead players. I think it was Rennie Steer back there. Meanwhile, poor ball from Doyle has given it to Smile, who cuts through into the Notts half, dinks it up over the top. Whitehall's offside. I saw that from here. Linesman's not giving it. Back towards Cassidy, edge of the area to Whitehall once more. He's going to bend that one just wide. He was offside, and the linesman had a better angle than us. Yeah,
certainly looked it when the initial ball went through to Whitehall. He looked a good half a yard offside, and then as it eventually broke back to him, the linesman's flag didn't go up from that inside left channel. He looked to just bend one into the far corner. It actually turned into a more dangerous cross as it was, as Josh Kelly made that run from the back post across the goal. Any touch from him might have deflected it past Sam Slocum, but as it was, the ball drifted a couple of yards wide of that far post and harmlessly out for a goal kick to Notts. But again, just another sign that Maidenhead going forward do possess a little bit of a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon's been in touch on Twitter. He's listening to this game in Wales. You can listen to it anywhere in the world on the BBC Sport website. Quick hello to his dad, Michael, his mum, Janet. Dad's usually at the match, but listening from home today. And his mum from Arnold, the two of them recovering. Not the two of them, but his mum's recovering from hip operations, so get well soon. Wootton on the right-hand side tries to win a header, does do, and then wins it back. Enzio tries to play it up over the top, does. Dennis, the other side of the last man. Twomasi comes back, makes a last-ditch tackle, and that's probably the only thing standing between Christian Dennis and a second goal of the day for him and a fourth for Notts.
Yeah, just unfortunate, couldn't get the ball out of his feet. Fantastic spot and pick out from Enzio. Again, his distribution today has been fantastic, bigging him up just a couple of minutes ago, but that time from open play, the ball bouncing around, first time pass over the Maidenhead defence straight into the feet of Christian Dennis. His touch just not quite out of his feet, allowed Twomasi to tow it away and concede this corner. Outswinger
from Enzio towards the back post. A couple of black and white shirts there queuing up. Conor Rawlinson's clashed heads with one of the Maidenhead players, but both of them are big and ugly, so they're just going to hold their heads and go, ouch, that was sore, and carry on. Kelly Evans is on the ball just inside the Maidenhead half. He carries it 10 yards or so. Rawlinson's bleeding, so he's ran across to the near side and he's going to get a bit of treatment. Meanwhile, on the pitch, Enzio takes it down the right-hand side and spoons his cross up behind and almost into the family stand.
Of course he did. What we've been saying about his distribution today has been fantastic.
Really
and
yeah.
There's the commentator's curse for you that time. 10 yards behind the goal and out for a goal kick. But again, you know, you want to see Enzio getting that ball, getting to the byline, trying to put balls in. He's affected the game today. It's what you want to see with players like him. Neil Ardley saying, you know, he gets heightened amount of, you know, under the microscope analysis and criticism and what have you. He does, but it's because he's got that ability, and what you want to see is him affect the game. And today, just like Saturday, he has affected the game in a positive way.
Conor Rawlinson's got a bandaged head now for the second game running. I wonder if that's the same cut that's opened back up again, although that would be a bit of a coincidence. So maybe he's cut himself twice in 2 games. Here comes Dennis, tries to play it back through to his strike partner Wootton, and it nearly found him just because of how shaky these Maidenhead defenders are.
Yeah, I was going to say there's two Maidenhead defenders there. Both look favourite to get the ball before Kyle Wootton. The reverse ball from Christian Dennis and very nearly made a mess of it between them.
Tried the best.
Yes, they certainly did, but eventually scrambling it clear and Notts getting the throw in. But every time they go forward, Notts look dangerous. Looks like something could happen. Rawlinson
has had to change shirts, so he's got one of those blood shirts on now, blank on the back, with his head bandaged. Dion Kelly-Evans takes a throw in. Why Rawlinson's not been allowed back on yet, I'll never know. That's just odd, subjective behaviour from the referee. But it's going to be a throw in for Maidenhead around the halfway line. 62 minutes have been played here. Elsewhere today, up in the Premier League. At lunchtime, Tottenham beat Brighton 2-1. It's now 1-1 between Bournemouth and Arsenal. Bournemouth having led earlier on. 0-0 between Villa and Norwich as Neil Ardley gives the Kop a wave. Usually the Kop are asking for different things off of Neil Ardley. 1-0 to Southampton still at Chelsea, 1-0 to West Ham at Palace, 0-0 between Everton and Burnley, and 1-1 between Sheffield United and Watford. Still to come at 5:30, Man United against Newcastle United, and at 8, Leicester against Liverpool. Notts trying to clear. They do through Enzio Baldwin up towards the halfway line. Come for a ride has Elul over the back of Kyle Wootton, level with the halfway line, but play continues. It's now with Smile down the left wing. Yes, that is his name. Holds it up, gives it to Steer, whose cross deflects onto the roof of the net and behind for what is only a second corner of the game for Maidenhead.
Yeah, and it's been a while, haven't we, since we've seen Maidenhead attack, but down the left-hand side that time, the substitute linking in, Smile, his left-footed cross deflected behind, and Notts just sleeping a little bit. They've took it short.
They have, yeah. Comley will take the short corner towards the back post. They go. Rawlinson wins the header, and Elul shepherds it out for another corner. 2 in quick succession.
It has gone over the far side. Kyle Rawlinson was the man with a freshly bandaged head. Got the flicked header. And 2 Maidenhead players just shepherded out at the far side, and it'll now be a Smile who's got to run from one side to the other, take it from a corner from their attacking right-hand side this time.
A bit of pushing and shoving inside the 6-yard box near the goalkeeper. Carl Wootton's back there and trying to prevent Alan Massey, the Maidenhead captain, from getting too close to his keeper. So the referee's just gone across and had a word, so he's now keeping a very close eye on that situation. Here comes the corner kick. Not a bad one, but Sam Slocum stretches for it. Bit of goal at field mill, Jake. Time. Oh, that's not a good tackle. That's not a yellow. This ref's odd. Come on, mate. Thank you, Jake. Meanwhile, here, Notts have the ball up in opposition territory. Enzio with the cross. This one was deflected, and they've managed to clear away of Maidenhead. Bright orange shirts they wear with white shorts and orange socks. Meanwhile, Notts, as you'd expect at home, in black and white. As Alex Lacey comes across and sticks the ball out on the far side into a largely empty Jimmy Cyril stand today. We'll need a new ball, because that ball is being lost somewhere around the M of Magpies in the Cyril stand, and it will be a throw for the visitors on the far side. So Mansfield are losing 2-0 at home. Forest continue to lead at Hull, cake on by a goal to nil. It's 3-0 here, all 3 of those goals coming in the first half for Notts. Rawlinson with his bandaged head. manages to nod it clear. It's now at the feet of Rose, whose clearance isn't so good. And Smile has it for Maidenhead. Back to Comley. Loads of time. Plays it towards Clarima. McCrory gets there though and clears up towards the halfway line, and the game is just coasting for the time being, Mark Stallard.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but that's not a bad thing from, not in a dangerous way.
No.
From a Notts perspective, it's just managing the game. It's what you have to do. They don't have to go chasing the game. It's up to the visitors to maybe take a risk too many, and then can Notts exploit it.
Ball up to Cassidy for Maidenhead. Enzio wins a header, 3 in a game, but giving it straight to Clarima. It's now with Osborne though, who beats one. He's going to try and beat another. He's certainly got the pace advantage. Tries to. What he doesn't have is the strength advantage, the physicality, and that alone is what gets Twomasi back in that race. Wins the ball, turns and clears it away down the Maidenhead right. The Notts left, but the Magpies are back in possession once more.
Yeah, they certainly are, but again, just a couple of passes for Notts is where the fans have just got to be a bit patient with them. We can't go forward every single time we get the ball, and there we do. We try and go forward, we give the ball away, and you get the moans and groans. But Mitch Rose, backward pass, and all of a sudden there's 1 or 2 moans and groans about that. We're managing the game, it's 3-0. It's about management. We've got another game in 2 days' time, so the players will want to get through this second half with us expending as little energy as possible without risking any injuries. Of course, we want to go and get the 4th and the 5th, but we want to do it in a sensible, managed, professional way. It's
gone so quiet here because it's so comfortable that I've just heard Neil Ardley say, Wes, get a blow on you. So it means that Wes is going to come on shortly. Wes Thomas, that is. Meanwhile, where Notts head to in a couple of days' time, Solihull. They are losing by 2-1 at Chesterfield this afternoon. Here's Enzio on the right wing for Notts. As you were saying, Mark Stallard, you want to rest players when you can at this stage of the year with so many games. You wonder if that's exactly what Neil Ardley's thinking. Here goes Enzio, beats his man to the byline, into the area. Had there been a black and white shirt in the heart of the 6-yard box, it would have been 4. As it is, there was only an orange one. Meanwhile, Mitch Rowe's got to be careful, brings his man down on the halfway line, and he has been booked, according to the stats we were handed to at half-time, but I don't remember him being booked, I must be honest.
Well, that's news to me. I didn't see a yellow card for Mitch Rose in that first half. If not, I've not made note of it on my sheet. So
no, it surprised me as well.
But I'm far from Optastats, so...
yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
That's nice from Tomasi. Couple of step overs. He's still going with his left foot. He finishes like me. Step overs like Stahl, finishing like me. It's a goal kick.
That's bad all over then. Step overs like me. My goodness. Yeah, optimistic. Not the first optimistic effort we've seen in this game today, but that was optimistic in the extreme. 35 yards out. The right back cutting in on his left foot and let him fly, and never going to trouble anybody. That about 15 rows back in the cop is where it landed.
78 minutes on the... Tell a lie, I thought it had flown by then for a second. 68 minutes have gone. I was wasting your Boxing Day afternoon then for a second. I think it's going to be a double change for Notts with both Wes Thomas and Tom Crawford coming on. Opportunity certainly, I'm sure, to rest some players as we edge ever closer to the 90. Clarima plays the ball over the top. It's got Damien McCrory on his heels, and he's going to bundle into the Maidenhead player, and thought he was going to give away a penalty there for a second. Notts do just enough, and then that's a poor tackle from Cassidy, who has, I think, followed through, studs and all, on McCrory back there. McCrory's caught really just kind of flat, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was facing the wrong way, his body positioning wasn't right, on his heels, couldn't turn quick enough, and Josh Kelly snuck in behind him. Had Kelly have gone down a bit quicker, he might have had a penalty.
Absolutely right, yeah, you've called that spot on. He was, body shape was all wrong, Damien McCrory, just a little bit flat, square on, ball over the top, couldn't get turned quick enough, and yeah, Kelly had got goal side of him, and yeah, on another day, a referee might have seen that as an infringement.
Particularly when you're 3 up.
Well, exactly, yeah. It's certainly easier to give for an away team, isn't it, when they're 3 down. But nothing doing. And Notts will have a free kick when they restart, but they're going to make this double substitution first.
Yeah, they are. And the standing ovation that you can hear is for Notts County's top scorer, Kyle Wootton, with another goal to date coming off. And his usual strike partner, Wes Thomas, will come on and replace him. That is very much a case of resting players when you can. And the other change, we'll see Mitchell Rose, who's had a lot of football so far this season, slowly make his way off, put in a real shift at Halifax on Saturday, has done again today. And so off comes Mitch, and Tom Crawford will replace it.
Yeah, that's it, and that's exactly what that first half performance does, getting them 3 goals ahead, managing the game in this, opening 20 minutes or so. Just allows Neil Ardley to shuffle his pack, give a couple of players a rest. Kyle Wootton will save himself now for Saturday, go and recover. You know that the preparation starts immediately. They'll be in the ice bath and preparing for that game in less than 48 hours time.
Meanwhile, change made by Maidenhead. I think that is Josh Kelly who has come off, and it's Shamir Fenlon who is on, the 25-year-old Irishman who's got 3 goals to his name so far this season. So that's all 3 substitutions that have been made by Alan Devonshire, the Maidenhead manager, whilst Notts have made 2 of theirs. Enzio's got it on the left wing. Surprised he's not come off just yet as well, because as the game grows older and Maidenhead will only sort of accept the realisation that they're going to get beaten this one ever more, so you do wonder if they'll start getting a little bit kicky. Yeah,
I think if there was a natural replacement, I think he might well have come off. He may well still do, but you look at the substitute options, Pierce Bird and Richard Brindley, neither of them a natural wide man. So, maybe Richard Brindley can come on and Dion Kelly-Evans can slot further forward, swap Sam Osborne over. But, I wouldn't be surprised to see Enzio maybe get a breather in the next 5 or 10 minutes maybe. Yeah, 72 minutes have been played here now at Meadow Lane. 3-0 Notts lead Maidenhead. All 3 of those goals came in the first half. First one was a really good corner from Enzio Baldwin. Found the head of Kyle Wootton, who scored his 12th goal of the season. Then just before the half-hour mark, Sam Osborne with another wonder goal. He only scores wonder goals, that kid. And then 2 minutes before the break, 3-0. This time Christian Dennis into double figures for the season in his own right on 10 goals. Wes Thomas is on in this second half. He's got 8 so far. That's a strong tackle made by Alex Lacey. Sends Cassidy tumbling to the ground up towards Thomas, and equally firm tackle made by Joe Ilol gives Maidenhead the ball back, and Cassidy's going to shoot. It deflects and loops up over the top of the crossbar and onto the roof of the net, but Sam Slocum was backtracking furiously as he wasn't sure where that one was going to drop. No, exactly, scrambling backwards. The dip on the ball from the deflection, left-footed shot from Cassidy, deflected off Rawlinson and put some topspin on the ball, and it was dipping. But thankfully for Notts and from Sam Slocum's point of view, just beyond the bar onto the roof of the net, and Sam Slocum can preserve this clean sheet so far. It's going to be a corner kick from the far side away from us, so Smile will take it with his right foot towards the back post, heading back across goal. Slocum there first, and he gets caught in the air rather unnecessarily as well. And isn't it good to see the Notts players going over and giving a bit of a shove as well, including Enzio? I know we shouldn't be encouraging, pushing and shoving, but it shows a more together team. Exactly, togetherness is what it's all about. You're dead right. I mean, if it wasn't 3-0, I think the referee might be doing a little bit more than he has done here. The Maidenhead striker, the ball's looping into Sam Slocum's hands as he's jumped and caught it. The Maidenhead striker's nowhere near it, but he's led with his arm and gives Slocum a push while he's in the air. And I think the ref might well be booking him. I think it's Whitehall, the substitute. But immediately 2 or 3 Notts players around him. Shows that good togetherness. This is our area, this is our box, he's our man, and we're going to stand up for him. As long as it doesn't cross that line, that's what you like to see, a team that is together. Indeed. 75 minutes on the clock here. Slocum's still down, but part of me thinks that's probably to do with game management. So let's cross to Field Mill to see if there's any sign of a fight back from Mansfield Town. Jake Garner. Oh, thank you, mate. $5,129 people here at Meadow Lane, meanwhile, this afternoon, currently enjoying their Boxing Day, watching Notts County
beating Maidenhead by 3-0. There's less than 15 minutes to go here. Mark Stollard, how different do you think the performance, different, I guess, a prospect will Notts face on New Year's Day in less than a week, when Notts have got to go to Maidenhead? The quick turnaround with the two teams playing each other in less than a week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be totally different. No two games are the same. What happens one week to the next in the National League up and down the country, you know, bears very little resemblance. The league table tells you that. You know, it's a very tight league. Anybody can sort of beat anybody, really. But what it will mean is that statistically Maidenhead are better away from home, but you would back them to put in a stronger performance than we've seen from them here today in 6 days' time.
Doyle picks up the ball and crosses into the Maidenhead half. He's still going out to the right-hand side to Christian Dennis, edge of the penalty area with his left foot, shoots, hits a defender on the head on the way through. It was Joe Alul who stooped to head clear. That one, I think, was going to be saved by the goalkeeper. We had a really good angle, and it was a good attempt. It was going on target, and it was curling as Dennis tried to find the far corner, but the keeper would have got there. Yeah,
just couldn't get the elevation to get it over the defenders in front of him, and as you say, Joe Alul just getting his head to it, clearing it, but it was a good angle behind us. Well, we're behind the shot, should I say. We've seen it going into that far corner. As you say, the keeper may well have got there, but again, Christian Dennis pulling the trigger, knowing that there's an opportunity for him today, and he's already got one goal. If he can get another one, that gives the manager a real good nudge to keep the shirt.
Kelly Evans plays it to Dennis, who lets it go through his legs, dummies the ball to Wes Thomas, which surprised everybody, including Thomas, who eventually got on the end of it, but then played a stray pass, which Michael Doyle had to run about 10 yards to go and retrieve. 77 minutes on the clock, still 3-0 to Notts. In less than 48 hours we'll be at Solihull, where match day is with you from 2 o'clock until 6. It's now with Christian Dennis just inside the Maidenhead half. He slides it through the middle to Enzio, who just got a little bit of a nudge from Twomasi, which stopped him from breaking through towards the edge of the Maidenhead penalty area. It's been cleared away, and now Slocum's got the ball.
Yeah, good covering defending from the fullback Tomasi there. You know, we've talked about Maidenhead being a little bit soft, a little bit vulnerable in the back, and again they were very nearly cut open. Good ball from Christian Dennis into the run of Enzio, but just, as you say, got a little nudge from the fullback who'd gone with his run, and Enzio unable to take it into his control.
Jake Cassidy's on the ball, the number 9 former Notts man, will turn and shoot from the edge of his penalty area, and Sam Slocum watched that one go wide. Always knew that it was going to go wide, that one. And the man who scored 6 goals so far this season for the Magpies of Maidenhead will have to wait a little longer before he gets his 7th. 78 minutes have been played here. I mentioned we're back with you on Saturday. There's another match day for you on Sunday, again from 2 till 6. This one's got Forest against Wigan and Bradford against Mansfield. And then on New Year's Day, match day is again with you at 2 o'clock, as Notts are at Maidenhead, Forest have got Blackburn, and Mansfield are at Cambridge. The Terrace then returning on the 3rd of January. There's been a goal at Field Mill. Any life there, Jake Garner, from a Mansfield perspective? Time out. Well, meanwhile here, Maidenhead are on the attack with Smiles, and now to Whitehall. Onto the right wing they go. Cross into the penalty area is on the toe of Cassidy, but it was always going to be a difficult one to control and get goalwards from that sort of position. He was having to stretch for it rather acrobatically, and it's gone a long way wide. Yeah,
he's just trying to hook it back, wasn't he? And I think try and find a teammate. The cross was just beyond everybody. But again, 1 or 2 moments for Maidenhead going forward, and you talk about now, obviously Solihull on Saturday, but in terms of the return game in 6 days' time down at Maidenhead, you know, we've seen enough. You know, teams have had a look at each other, so Maidenhead will know what Notts offer, but Notts have had a look at Maidenhead and know that they do have a threat going forward.
Here's Thomas on the edge of the Maidenhead penalty area. He's back to goal now, turned onto the left wing, and he finds Enzio Baldwin, who'll try to beat his man. He shuffles and he stutter steps and he ultimately falls over, and Maidenhead will clear away down their right hand side. Oh, that's a robust tackle from behind from Alex Lacey that sticks Whitehall on his backside, and you wonder if the referee will choose to book him on that one. I don't think so. I think he's going to get away with it, much to the disgust of Whitehall.
Yeah, well, I mean, It's a strong tackle. It's a centre-half tackle. That, I mean, cranky me, if that's a booking these days, then we are going to struggle to keep 22 players on a pitch. And as it is, the referee not even having a word with Alex Lacey, just a robust challenge into the back of the centre forward.
Oh, I thought he was on. Christian Dennis has just played the ball through to Wes Thomas, and I was watching the Maidenhead defenders trying to catch him offside, and I don't think Alul stepped off in time. But the linesman's flag went up, and what does it matter what I think? In the Premier League, Southampton are 2-0 up at Chelsea. I fancied them today. Southampton
at Chelsea?
Yeah, just because Chelsea had that really good win the other day. I just wondered whether it was going to be a kind of after the Lord Mayor's show syndrome. Long ball forward up towards the edge of the Notts penalty area once more. Rawlinson wins a header. Dion Kelly-Evans will look to clear it. Plays it short instead to Tom Crawford. It's lovely when you see stuff like that when it works. And Crawford now dinks it down the right wing and completely gets his wires mixed with Christian Dennis. But Osborne's got the deflection. He beats the man and gives it to Dennis. And then Osborne's bundled to the ground. Meanwhile, Doyle, aware that he's already got 2 reds so far this season, thought about flying into that tackle and then went no at 3-0. And with all the games that we've got at the moment, let's not. And either way, Notts have won the ball back in the end anyway. So 2-0 Southampton at Chelsea, 1-1 between Palace and West Ham, 1-0 to Everton against Burnley, and 1-1 between Sheffield United and Watford. Is Kelly-Evans. Steps out of defence, gives it to Dennis, now to Enzio, down the left wing, edge of the area, into it, onto his right foot, to Kelly-Evans, on a plate, shoot lad, goes down, won't get a free kick. Maidenhead will clear.
Yeah, that's a good move again from not starting from Sam Slocum. Really good distribution with his feet out to Dion Kelly-Evans, and it was Kelly-Evans who found himself following his run on the edge of the Maidenhead penalty area. And like you say, if he could have pulled the trigger, sorted his feet out quicker, he may well got a shot off. But as it was, couldn't get it out of his feet, and Maidenhead now down the other end.
Yeah, they have the ball on the edge of the Notts penalty area, and in fact now inside it with Cassidy, who's going to shoot again. It would have been a tame effort if it had reached the goal, but Rawlinson deflected it away. Meanwhile, that'll be a Maidenhead throw-in away to our left-hand side, almost kind of 18 yards up the touchline from the corner flag, pretty much square with the edge of the penalty area. And Rennie Steer, who's on 7 yellows for the season, will eventually take it. Meanwhile, the referee has seen a bit of pushing and shoving and tussling, and it's between Clarima and Dion Kelly-Evans. The always up for it Kelly-Evans. A lesser man would say he's got small man syndrome.
He's certainly giving away about 6 inches in height there to Clarima, isn't he? And well, that would be in a different boxing weight category, but either way, the referee's still talking to the two of them. Something's upset them both.
And they're still not getting on. Some in the cop whistle. It's into the penalty area, and the smaller man wins the header, and then he gets climbed all over by Clarima, but the danger's not been cleared just yet. Back to the edge of the penalty area. Twamasi finds Rowe. Oh, he nearly stuck it down onto the concourse, which would have been a fine achievement by anybody's books.
Yeah, again, Twamasi off a decent opportunity on the edge of the box. Ball rolled to him on his right foot. Struck it first time, but always rising, and a good dozen or so rows back into the cop, and we'll wait for the ball to be thrown back to Sam Slocum.
Ended up in the net, and we've got 2 balls on the pitch now, so Conor Rawlinson gets rid of one of them. I said 5,129 in here this afternoon. 100 of those have made the journey from Maidenhead. Nice round number. And I wouldn't blame them at all if they decided to take their leave any time now. We're inside the 85th minute, where Notts continue to lead by 3-0. Lacey nods the ball back to Slocum, and he bowls it out of the feet of Conor Rawlinson, who didn't know it was there until it was literally there. Pierce Bird warming up and removing the snood, so he'll be coming on shortly. First appearance at Meadow Lane since returning from his brief loan spell at Boston United. Ball down the left channel from Michael Doyle, tries to find Wes Thomas, but always had a touch too much speed on it, and that has gone straight through to the goalkeeper. I can't remember a more comfortable second half for a long time down here either.
No, that's it. That's the benefit of a good first half performance. Gives you 3 goals, allows you to manage the game, to see it out. You've got to do things right, you've got to play properly, but you want to preserve and conserve as much as you can. So you play a little bit within yourself, of course, and manage the game, and that's exactly what Notts have done. They've had one or two moments in the second half, but they've certainly kept Maidenhead at arm's length, restricted them to shots from the edge of the box and outside the box, and I say managed the game out really well. And as a result of that, we hope come the end of the game, when there's 3 points in the bag, that we've got a fully fit squad to go to Solihull in 48 hours' time.
Yeah, the ideal sort of second half that you could want at this time of year. They've not been able to completely switch off, obviously, but they've not had to go hell for leather like, let's say, that they did on Saturday at Halifax. Lacey has the ball on his chest inside the centre circle. Shows good awareness at times, does Lacey, of what's around him, when he can bring it down, when he needs to get rid. In equal measure sometimes.
Yeah,
Lacey,
very good.
out
very
to the
good.
left-hand side to Enzio. Tomasi's going to get there. A little bit of a nudge from Enzio in the back of Tomasi. That should be a corner. Yes, it is. Sorry, Alex.
Sorry, yeah, Alex Lacey, I mean, very confident on the ball. A few times, he's not had to defend a great deal in the games that he's played, truth be told, but he's shown great moments. He's one of them defenders who, when the ball comes to him on his head and he knows there's nobody around him, will look to head it down and guide it to a teammate rather than just heading it anywhere, kicking it anywhere. He's comfortable on the ball. Like I say, he will be asked bigger questions defensively, and we'll find out a little bit more about him, but it's certainly been a positive start for him in a Notts shirt.
Well, here comes your change, and it's Pierce Bird who's coming on for Enzio Baldwin, who's on the far side of the pitch at the moment. So at this rate,
well, there's a like-for-like substitution.
Yeah, if you've ever seen it. Yeah, absolutely. So on they come. Meanwhile, Forest have doubled their lead at Hull and look to be putting an end to their December skid and woes. And Enzio's off. He's walking round now in front of the family stand, exiting the pitch from the nearest possible point. So we'll need a new corner taker for the 10th of the day. The Cops sing the Dutchman's name, and he's played very well.
He certainly has, yeah. Carried on from Saturday, where he was excellent in that second half. Destructive running with the ball and destructive delivery, and similar again today, most notably in the first half.
Here comes the corner, goes short to Doyle. It turns into an outswinger in at the near post, headed away before Bird could get a first touch on it. That's a good recovering tackle, though, made by Tom Crawford to prevent any thoughts of a counter-attack. And then a long ball across is headed out. And I mean, Notts have been very good today, Mark Stellar, but Maidenhead have been poor. You have to expect better from them on I have no idea what day it is, but New Year's Day.
Wednesday, yes. Yeah, you certainly would. I mean, the stats say they're a better away team than they are home team. I mentioned it before, 22 points away from home, only 9 at home. So the stats don't back that up, but you've got to expect a better performance from them, as they say, on New Year's Day in 6 days' time down there.
The applause you can hear in the background is from the main stand here, the Derek Pavis stand, as Enzio Baldwin makes his way in front of those supporters. Now he's stopped at the family stand to sign something and take a couple of pictures as well. You can do that on afternoons like this, and now makes his way back to the dugout, and no question that he wouldn't get his ovation, even though he had to go off on the far side in front of a largely empty Jimmy Cyril stand. Wes Thomas on the ball just inside the Maidenhead half, crosses it, and to the right hand side he goes. He's got a couple of men around him. We are into the 89th minute here. He turns back, gets away from one man, holds it up and plays it into the middle of midfield for Tom Crawford. To Doyle. And Doyle now to Pierce Bird, who's playing at left back. Where's McCrory gone? Left wing. Doyle. On to Bird, and now McCrory approaching the edge of the area. Will he shoot here? Why not, lad? Oh, he's put it just wide.
Good
Open
effort.
season at shooting.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, Damien McCrory just wandering forward almost, does not shift the ball, almost unchallenged now. Maidenhead virtually given up the ghost. And McCrory just wandered forward and thought, you know what, you're not going to close me down, I'll pull the trigger. He does so across the goal, and unfortunately just a yard or two beyond that far post, but more good Notts movement, more good Notts play.
They were inviting him to shoot, and he nearly made them pay for it.
Yeah, I think Maidenhead have their race has long since been run, but I think they are just going through the motions at this moment in time out there. And
although here they come, breaking into the Notts penalty area, cutting it back to the edge of the 6-yard box. Good covering tackle made by Pierce Bird, and nice to see Notts end the match with a couple of kids in the team that not necessarily come through the academy. Osborne has. Pierce Bird joined though when he was a teenager, and we're going to just see 3 minutes added on at the end. Meanwhile, as the ball has been crossed to the edge of the Notts penalty area, we're going to cross in just a moment, because Notts are on the counter-attack now through Tom Crawford, surrounded by a few players. Right, there has been a goal at Field Mill. Jake. Tale. Bet you he says Desmond. Bet you he says Desmond. Jake loves a Desmond. Thank you very much, Jake. We're inside 3 minutes of stoppage time here at Meadow Lane, where Notts are winning by 3-0. Ball up towards the edge of the Magpies penalty area is easily dealt with. McCrory on it now, although he has to put the brakes on to keep Notts in possession. And really, I mean, we've used a few kind of boxing analogies and metaphors today. Here's throw another one. If this was boxing, it would have been well stopped, and everybody could have saved their legs, because this has turned into a bit pedestrian paced at times now in the dying moments of this game, as you'd fully expect it to do so. We've played a minute and a half of the 3 minutes that have been added on. It's with Smile to Whitehall, edge of the area, will shoot and stick it over the top of the crossbar. Goal kick. Yeah, again, another shot. They work it well. Maidenhead, again, you say the game's gone to a little bit of walking pace. It's long since been done and dusted, but they have shown that they can work the ball quite well in attacking areas, and with an eye to 6 days' time, that return fixture down at Maidenhead. You know, when they're back at 0-0, when they start the game, Maidenhead will believe that they can create chances. Their finishing hasn't been great, their shooting hasn't been great today, but on a different day, I say they will pose Notts a threat, and Notts will have to be right down there. Certainly will, as Twomasi wins a header, but it falls to McCrory on the far touchline. He plays it down the Notts left. It's cleared away down the Maidenhead right, and it's back with Pierce Bird, who's back in the mix thanks to a couple of injuries. Rawlinson gives it to Dion Kelly-Evans, who's done well at right fullback today, Mark Stellar. Yeah, certainly has, yeah. You can't fault anybody in this performance. The first half, obviously, notably, was the 45 minutes that really put this game to bed, if you like, and it was a fantastic performance. Everyone chipped in, and Dion Kelly-Evans has certainly done his cause no harm at all. He's back on the ball again as he clatters it clear with Cassidy, who stands about a foot taller than him, lurking nearby and flying into a tackle. Meanwhile, it's finished 2-2 at Field Mill between Mansfield and Port Vale. Dion Kelly-Evans been hacked to the ground away to our right-hand side, and now Sam Osborne has fallen funny on his coccyx, I think. Might just knock the wind out of him a little bit. It's either going to be a free kick or a throw-in, but either way it's rather inconsequential, because the 3 minutes of additional time are up. Notts are leading by 3-0, and nobody would argue with the referee if he blew his final whistle right now. But it is a free kick. You might as well knock it into the 18-yard box, see what happens, but they won't. I was going to say, they're never going to do that in a month of Sundays. I think the refs might have already given the nod that this is almost game over. Neat little ball down the right-hand side, and that's full time. A thoroughly enjoyable Boxing Day here at Meadow Lane, where they beat Maidenhead by 3-0.